endeavors in anime particularly. We weren't sure if anybody would ever even accept us. I used to get death threats when we seriously, we were laughing, but I used to get death threats. Back in the day, people would say that we were ruining the art form by dubbing it into English and all that stuff. And we were just trying to do our best to bring it to a different audience. Some people just won't watch it with subtitles. And to see that people have embraced it and that more than 20 years later, we're talking about shows like Cowboy Bebop, it's really a testament to the power of a fandom. And all of us at Adult Swim and throughout the animation community are so grateful to you guys for sticking with us all these years and giving us a chance to do something different with this art form and bring it to generations of people who wouldn't have otherwise seen it. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
How long I started watching you on VHS.
Oh. I'm moving right now, and I just uncovered a whole bunch of boxes of VHS, the clamshell cases, the big clamshell. I actually had an old Betamax machine before that, so you're preaching the choir right here, dude. My first demo reel was on a cassette, so so I'm just glad to still be alive and see things go too. It's pretty fun. Are you right here?
Yes. Well, this is one thing I see you again. How did you feel when Adult Swim contacted you to voice Tom in the Toonami?
Well, originally it was Cartoon Network. Before Adult Swim even existed, it was Cartoon Network, and they were changing things over. Sonny Strait was doing the voice of Tom, a little pot-bellied version of Tom back then, and Moltar before that. And I didn't really know about the show block. I was working sort of in the fringes, doing anime for fun on the side in my spare time. And these guys called me, and they were going to, I think it was Anime EXPO, and they said, well, we're interested in a new host for Toonami, the show called Toonami. And I said, what's Toonami? And they had to explain it to me, and that was super embarrassing. And I said, well, first of all, I'm just a voice schmo, and I've never hosted anything before. Are you sure you have the right guy? And they said, oh, absolutely, dude. We love Cowboy Bebop, and we love the voice print, and we think it might work really well with something new that we're working on. And they invited me to come to the convention, which I thought was pretty cool, and they offered me free beer. And that's kind of what got me there. And so I met with Sean Akins, and I think it was Jason DeMarco, and maybe Gil Austin from Toonami back then. Sean is a different company now, but the other guys are still there. And we just had a great conversation. We hit it off really well. And I just said yes, and I was terrified. I didn't know what we were doing. And, but it was one of those times in my life where I'm really glad I took a risk. And here we are 20-something years later, and I still get to do it. It's amazing. Now I get to work from home too. I work from my home studio, and I record Toonami like every Monday. They send me a script, and I record it and send it back in email, and off it goes into the ether, and we hear it on Saturday nights, and the game reviews come out when they come out, and it's pretty cool. It's a great gig, and I'm so grateful to everybody there. And the cool thing about the people at Toonami is that most of them that were there back in that day are still working for the company. And they do it in their spare time, which a lot of people don't know. These guys do it at night and on the weekends, and they do it because they love anime and they love you guys, and they really appreciate the art form. And it's still a passion project for them. And there are so few things in the entertainment business that work that way. Most people do it to, for fame or fortune or whatever. But these guys are really in it for the right reasons. And so I'm proud and grateful to be part of the Toonami family. And thank you for watching.
You're welcome.
All right, stay low. How about you right here? Yes.
Okay. Hi, I'm Seth.
Hi.
What is it like working with Riot for Valorant and Brimstone and all that kind of shenanigans on there?
They're amazing. They're so specific about things. It's really fun working on that. I've played a lot of soldiers in my career, and they were so specific about that character, just to make him likable, make him a leader, and still have that force behind him. And it's a real delicate balance. And we spent a lot of time dialing all that stuff in. I love how detail-oriented they are at Riot. It's really cool. I don't know anything about the game, honestly. Everything's completely out of context. They always explain stuff when I go into the room and I do my lines and I walk out and I have no idea what I just said or how it applies to the game. But apparently, people are really enjoying it, and I'm just grateful that they let me come on board. It's pretty cool. Yeah, they're awesome people and really fun to work with. Yeah, again, anybody that's passionate about what they do, I'm in. I don't care what it is. You know, if you're a garbage collector and you're really passionate about getting that garbage, man, I'm gonna have to be out there celebrating you. You're fabulous.
I'm Matthew.
Hi, Matthew.
I hear your voice, and I can't tell if it's Tom talking to me or Spike. Or actually people, because there's a character to your voice that blends all of those characters, but you're still able to give them their own identity and feeling and instructions how to speak. So could you speak a little bit about how that kind of, clearly what your normal voice is, turned into characters that are so different and have such different personalities, but still have this kind of connecting character to them?
That's a great question. It's called acting. That's actually a really, really great question, because a lot of people who are interested in voice acting forget the acting part. That's the most critical thing when you're embodying a character. It might have the same voice. A lot of on-camera people play lots of different characters, but if they're good, you're gonna be absorbed into the life of that character. They take on the life and the mannerisms of that character. And that really is the challenge. And it's even a bigger challenge in voiceover because we don't have the props and we don't have, the other things to work off of necessarily. I love that part of it, actually. That's the part that used to intimidate me the most, especially when I was doing my own characters in my own voice. When I took on the role of Spike, I was terrified. I literally thought I was gonna poop my pants for like the first 5 or 6 episodes because it was a lead role in my voice, and I hated the sound of my own voice. I was used to doing Digimon characters or that for me was easy and fun and playtime, but to do something in my own voice, that was vulnerable. I really learned the importance of the acting component to voice acting, and that's one of the reasons I started teaching too, is that a lot of people are just waiting to be discovered because they do some voice, some funny voices and stuff. That's awesome, but that's like frosting a cake, and there's no cake underneath it. If you don't have the acting chops, you really are not going to be sustainable in the business. You might get a couple lines here or there, but that's it. But to have a career, you really have to be able to support it with a skill set. So at this point, I really love that challenge. I love being able to create something completely different and to help an audience get lost in the storytelling. And I consider myself to be a very, very small component of a much bigger thing. And I'm just a little piece of the story. So if I can do that convincingly without pulling somebody out of it because they hear my stupid voice, then I've done my job well. So thank you for that question. That was awesome. How about the other side of the room? Right here.
Hi, thank you. So, question. Amongst all the games and anime you've done voiceover, what was like the most ridiculous character that you just okay, this is like what's going on here? What brain?
Oh man, there have been so many of them. Great Teacher Onizuka was pretty ridiculous. And especially because we didn't have a proper script for that one. That one, we have what they call the dubbing script, and prior to that we just have the original Japanese translation, where nothing really matches up. The original Japanese translation, it's not going to fit into the lip flaps of American speech. So for Great Teacher Onizuka, we only had the Japanese translation, and they knew that I was a writer, which is one of the reasons they hired me on the show. I was one of the ADR writers for Digimon and several other shows. And so every single line in that show, I was rewriting on the fly in real time. It was like an improv thing for 26 episodes. It was ridiculous. So I still haven't watched it, and to this day I have no idea if any of it makes sense. So, that was pretty crazy. And then we did I did a motion comic thing. I think it was a motion comic thing called Kashmir the Flying Camel. And very few people have seen this thing, but if you get a chance, look it up. It's Kazmir. Bryan Cranston narrated the thing. And Colleen O'Shaughnessy and I did all of the other characters in the thing. And one of the characters that I played is this flying camel in a magical universe, and this prince. I don't want to give away too much of the story, but there was a moment where one of the worlds that he visits is this place where it's a landscape, an entire landscape made out of basically human feces, and or all the ills of the world, but it's sort of coagulated into this muddy goop. And there was a creature that was manifested in this world who comprised the entire landscape. And so I had to voice a landscape made out of human feces. That was probably the most ridiculous thing I've ever done. It was unbelievable. So it was. There we go. Happy about it. But it's that sort of thing, but he actually spoke too. And he was actually a really nice guy, and he was just taking all of the ills of the world. So it was really, really interesting and very bizarre character. So not many actors can say they've done that, right? So landscape of poop. How about you back there? Okay. Yes.
So I have a question. I'm a big Star Wars fan, so I was wanting to ask about Zeb. Would you ever be interested in playing any live action since they're bringing all these characters like Bill and Ahsoka into live action? Would you be interested?
If Dave Filoni's listening, yes, I am. I love Star Wars so much, and I love Zeb so much. And the great thing about voicing a character like Zeb in a live action version is that they would have to do voiceover for it. I wouldn't necessarily have to be in the creature suit. I would think they'd have to do some CGI or some practical effects for that. So I wouldn't have to memorize lines. I just go into the studio, and I'm lazy. I just don't want to do it. And I know that that costume is super uncomfortable. I've seen people wearing it. So as long as I didn't have to do the physical part of it, I would love to do that. But I would do like the facial capture if they wanted to put, the prop effects on me and whatever. I do the facial capture for it. But there are so many people who are so much better on stilts and costume stuff than I am. But yeah, I'd love to do that. The Oshla's with me. Carabas. Thank you for that. Thanks for watching the show. Nice meeting you.
What's your opinion on Americans adopting anime-style animations, and how will they impact voice actors that would traditionally do those Japanese animations, if that makes sense?
Are you saying in live action or in?
In animations, like Netflix animations, like Castlevania.
Oh, so an American interpretation of a Japanese property? As long as they do it well, I'm good with it, and faithfully, and really honor what came before. I have no issue with that at all. I think it's really cool. But I also feel that if they're going to do it right, hire the right actors for it too, and don't go all celebrities, and don't be ridiculous about that. But hire actors who actually care about it, and hire writers who actually care about the property too. I think that's been a problem in the past, is that they just try to make as much money as they can off of one of these properties, and they don't really take into account the reason the show's become popular. It is the storytelling, it's the writing, it's the acting, it's all of that stuff. So I love the art form of anime and Japanese animation in general. And every time I've dubbed anything, if I have any say about it at all, I will change lines just to make sure that it makes sense, and that we're in service of the fandom that got us there. So as long as they do that, I'm good. I'm really good. But thank you, that's a great question. How about somebody from this side of the room? How about over there?